ZNS News is brought to you by the new BTC. Fiber is here. Faster, stronger, more reliable. Together, we are unstoppable. Switch today.
Tonight, new changes that are expected to make getting land much less of a headache. Lloyd Allen reports on the reforms now underway. Wicked weather impacting just about everything, from power outages to festivals. Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean is tracking it all and will have the very latest just ahead. And on this Friday night, we will retrace the history of the 200-year-old Collins Estate. The Bahamas Tonight at 11 starts now. The Friday edition of the Bahamas Tonight at 11, and good evening, everyone. I'm Corval Python. We're glad to have you with us tonight. Our big story here at 11, officials believe that the process of acquiring land is about to get a bit easier, thanks in part to some measures being put in place at the Department of Inland Revenue. Our Lloyd Allen starts us off here at 11.
From the Department of Inland Revenue, an added layer of security to ensure newly obtained land is purchased with minimal instances of fraud or duplicated titles. Now, that change is set to take effect immediately.
The Conveyancing and Law of Property Act was amended by repealing and replacing the Section 40 to that act. And what that now, the new Section 40 requires is that before you execute a conveyance, so if you're trying to buy property, before you sign any conveyance, you need to request from the Department of Inland Revenue an invoice.
Controller at the Department of Inland Revenue, Shonda Strawn, says in addition to that invoice, a consideration value of the property is required, along with other information through a department-specific portal. Now, at the end of that process, a provisional VAT invoice will be issued, not for payment, but essentially serving as a paper trail.
It is simply meant to trigger everybody that there is a transaction about to happen. And so once you apply to the Department of Inland Revenue through our portal, once you apply to us letting us know that you're about to execute a conveyance, we issue you a provisional VAT invoice, and then you could do all the other things that you would normally do, finish off your financing and all of that type of stuff, and then you eventually execute your conveyance.
Once completed, the conveyance still has to be submitted to Inland Revenue, along with a final assessment before the actual VAT payment is made. Strawn also offering this warning to prospective property buyers.
Do not sign a conveyance prior to requesting that invoice. And the VAT assessed on property transactions really now take precedent. So they will take precedent over the legal fees that has to be paid, precedent over any realtor's fees that has to be paid. The VAT has to be paid first.
Now, it's also important to note that the VAT on that conveyance must be paid within a 100-day period to avoid any challenges to your transaction. Reporting from Harcourt, Rusty Bethel Drive for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Lloyd Allen.
Now, Lloyd also tells us here tonight that among those changes coming in from the Department of Inland Revenue, a concept they've coined One Tax Bahamas. According to Acting Controller Strawn, who you just heard in the piece earlier, the initiative is being launched to transform the experience for members of the public at her office. She says the intent is to change the experience of patrons from mere taxpayers to clients and to minimize the level of complaints.
We really want to make sure that our taxpayers are not stressed when they're paying their taxes. And so One Tax Bahamas, you got to get used to saying that. One Tax Bahamas, it will mean ease. It will also mean simplicity for the taxpayer, and we're just looking forward to that.
Now at 11, several communities across New Providence experienced power outages today as a result of this severe weather system impacting the country. Senior Manager for Field Operations for New Providence at Bahamas Power and Light, Patrick Ferguson, spoke to the outage, while Manager for Internal Communications, Gidget Dean, made this strong appeal to BPL consumers.
Started with a vehicle accident, broken pole, down HV and LV lines. Then it continued on with the lightning that brought down some lines as well. The breeze that picked up that allowed our HV lines to clash, trees that impacted the conductors. So it was a numerous of effects felt to our system from the weather.
We want our customers to follow us on all of our social media pages. We have a WhatsApp direct channel. It's called BPL Direct. And if our customers are experiencing outages, they should contact us right away and stay away from down power lines.
And of course, we'll have much more on the severe weather system coming up when Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean joins us a bit later this half hour. In other news here, a jury yesterday found a one-time political aspirant guilty on 2 counts of unlawful sexual intercourse. 51-year-old Marlon Newton, who once ran on the Democratic National Alliance's ticket and sought nominations with other political organizations, was convicted for having unlawful sexual intercourse with a minor. The incidents happened back in 2019. Newton, then 44, provided shelter for a 17-year-old boy who had been thrown out of his home. The now 23-year-old man says at the time he was forced into having sexual intercourse with Newton. Newton has insisted that the intercourse was consensual. By law, 18 is the age of consent for same-sex intercourse. Newton broke down into tears Thursday as the verdict from the 9-member jury was read. Justice Gilomena Archer-Mins has remanded him to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until October 2nd, when sentencing is expected to be handed down. We also have this from the courts: 20 years behind bars. That was the sentence for 30-year-old Bahamian-born Brandon Clint Russell, who appeared before a federal judge in Baltimore, Maryland yesterday. Described as a neo-Nazi, Russell was sentenced for conspiring to attack power substations in the Baltimore area. A judge found him guilty earlier this year after prosecutors presented their case that Russell, along with his girlfriend, Sarah Beth Clint Daniel, planned a series of sniper attacks to target the area's energy grid. They contend that in the aftermath of the attacks, the couple planned to create a bizarre utopia where the area would be populated only by people who look like and thought like them. Russell, who has dual U.S. Bahamian citizenship, was first arrested in Tampa back in 2017. His girlfriend previously pleaded guilty and is now serving an 18-year sentence. Still more news to stay up for this Friday night. When we come back, Goombbe postponed. We've got those stories and much more. You're watching The Bahamas Tonight at 11. Stay with us. We continue this late night, and if you tried to make it out tonight, well, you learned that there was no Goombbe tonight on Bay Street. Yes, the weather being blamed once again. This current system that we are under has caused the postponement of tonight's Goombbe Summer Festival. Organizers of the annual weeks-long event announced its postponement to the disappointment of a great deal of folks. Goombbe only made its return to New Providence in 2023 after a now decade-long hiatus. An announcement regarding the resumption of this festival is expected sometime next week. A special chance for all Bahamian farmers nurturing, planting, and harvesting faithfully to reap the fruit of their labor. Here's Danielle Dean with that story.
All roads lead to the Atlantis hotels on the 18th of October for the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources' first ever biannual Agrarian Awards, meant to honor and recognize hardworking and fruitful Bahamian farmers.
The Agrarian Awards is our ministry's highest platform for recognizing those who have gone above and beyond in contributing to national food community transformation.
Represented at the launch was BAMSI, which is sponsoring the Prime Minister's Youth Award, Royal Caribbean sponsoring the Lifetime Achievement Award, and the Tourism Development Corporation. Other sponsors include Bahamas Air and RBC. BAMSI Executive Chairman Valentino Munro and Royal Caribbean Bahamas President Philip Simon deem it a pleasure to partake in this special moment for the Bahamian farmers.
We are indeed proud to support this award because it honors those among us who have dedicated their lives to this vital work. people who understand what it means to care deeply for the soil and the communities it nourishes.
These are the future food champions of the Bahamas. By sponsoring this award, we affirm our commitment to investing in the growth and celebrating their achievements.
Two of the faces of farming are Forrester Bowe, the Emerald Pioneer Award recipient, and Perkins Melis, the Lifetime Achievement Award recipient.
There are lots of others who are also deserving, and you naming me is a tribute to my father, who had me on the farm from diapers.
I born in 93 years ago. The plantation is owned by my grandfather, Frederick Nathaniel Bowe. So I born into farming.
These two men and many other hardworking, behind-the-scenes farmers will be present for the ceremony on October 18th at Atlantis. The night's theme cleverly dubbed, Planting with Heart and Soil. Reporting for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Danielle Dean.
Thanks, Danielle. A further history lesson here. Let's take it back to a time when Bahamians had to climb a 6-foot wall just to get to work. History isn't only written in books, it's carved into the buildings that stand through the years. Collins House has seen over 2 centuries of change, from wealth and prestige to protest and preservation. With restorations now underway at this historic site, our Lyle Maycock takes us back to where it all started.
Nestled alongside Nassau's historic Shirley Street corridor stands a mansion with history not just in the books, but in concrete, wood, and whispers of an era long gone. This is Collins House, or as it was once known, Centerville, a property whose legacy stretches back to over 2 centuries ago. Collins Estate was first granted in 1791. It passed from hand to hand until it was acquired in 1880 by David A. Bryce, a successful merchant from Long Island. Bryce built his fortune exporting sponges and later passed his estate, including Collins House, to his son-in-law, Ralph Gregory Collins. When Collins married Bryce's daughter Marion in 1909, he not only married into one of Nassau's elite families, he inherited a symbol of their wealth, the iconic Collins House. Chief Archaeologist and Research Officer Dr. Grace Turner reflects on the social shifts of the era.
It was an expensive, well-built house from the beginning because he had money. It was to show off to the rest of the Bahamas and the rest of the world that Mr. Collins had money.
95-year-old Fernley Palmer, a former building contractor, recounts what it was like for him living through that time.
It was outstanding. It was outstanding because at that time it was almost a tourist attraction. So I passed Collins House, going and coming, my whole school life.
But what Collins built outside his home would leave its mark far beyond architecture. During the Great Depression, Collins commissioned a 2-mile, 6-foot-high poured concrete wall around the estate, not just for privacy, but as a source of employment for struggling black Bahamians with no work.
They were paid like $1 a week. That may sound like a little bit of money to us now, but back then, it was a substantial wage for a laborer. And in addition, he would give them a hot lunch during the day.
As the decades passed, what began as an act of generosity took on a darker purpose. By the 1950s, the wall stood as a hard line separating the white, affluent, from the black, working-class neighborhoods over the hill. When asked to describe it in 2 words, Dr. Turner describes the time as a rough life.
And they would build up things to help people, especially women, to get over the wall, because the original wall had broken glass on the top. They didn't put in barbed wire. They put broken glass on the top, so you didn't just slide over the wall.
And Dr. Turner shares a story that changed the trajectory of history.
The story is that a pregnant woman one day was crossing the wall and fell. And she, some people say she miscarried. I know she didn't die, but it bumped up the community's anger even more, that a pregnant woman had to go through such a dangerous situation just to get to and from work.
Public protests eventually broke the barrier, but the Collins story was far from over. It became the home of the St. Andrews School, later the Ministry of Education, and now the Antiquities, Monuments, and Museum Corporation, who's restoring Collins House as a permanent home of the National Museum of the Bahamas. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Lyle Maycock.
Great piece there, Lyle. So much history. They've sworn to serve and protect, and this they have. Making special officers like the one in this feature filed by our Daniel Dean the subjects of celebration all August long.
Reserve Superintendent Andrew Roll became a police officer in the most unorthodox way, but he is grateful for his career choice.
I never visualized being a police officer. That happened by accident. In 1975, I came back from college, and a few friends of mine and I, we were at a club in the area of the police college.
And almost in a daring way, a friend of Roll suggested the group make a pit stop to the station to take the qualification test that he passed with flying colors, which led to a 35-year tenure, a journey that catapulted Roll on his quest to protect and serve.
I worked at several divisions, mobile division for a few years, airport division for a few years, Quaco Street Police Station, Southern Police Station, as they also call it, for a few years. I have experience of working in Andros and a couple of the Family Islands.
Thereafter working in the Criminal Investigations Department for 20-plus years. Roll's transition from police to police reserve, though, was put on pause to take an accumulated 1.5 years of vacation. Despite any possible misconceptions, Reserve Superintendent Roll wants the Bahamian public to know that officers like himself too play an extremely vital role for the force.
Some reserve officers, they have more responsibilities than some of the regular officers. And I can speak personally about that. I'm not bragging about myself, but being here for 20 years, there are things I know about this building that some of the OCs don't know.
The 71-year-old veteran noted that in the Eastern Division, there are about 25 reserve officers, and the thought that there is a whole month dedicated to honoring their service reminds them that their efforts are greatly appreciated and needed.
It means a great deal, because I can say that I'm still here and contributing to the Royal Bahamas Police Force. It is a pleasure. I enjoy coming here every morning, and even though there are lots of officers here who are very young, inexperienced about policing, and I can impart my knowledge to them. It's a pleasure.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force will be celebrating for the entire month of August. Reporting for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Danielle Dean.
An inaugural fishing camp for youngsters has inspired new dreams of bright careers in an industry set aside exclusively now for Bahamians. We get more from our Felicity Darville.
Protect and take ownership of the natural beauty of the Bahamas, our ocean, our land, our wildlife, and our way of life.
That's the pledge that these youngsters took as they participated in Born to the Flats, the first camp of its kind by the Bahamas Fly Fishing Industry Association. They didn't only learn the art of fly fishing, they made a commitment to protect the flats for future generations. The lead instructor was Captain Sean Leedon, assisted by Charles Johnson, Theophilus Flowers, and Joel Moxie. Austin Campbell, CEO of Community Fly Fishing, and Alan Campbell of Denver, Colorado, also brought their expertise to the program, helping to make meaningful impressions on the campers. Let's take a trip out to the flats with Captain Leedon and listen in as he educates the campers.
In Nassau, right where the prevailing winds come from is where the drop-off is for the tongue of the Atlantic Ocean. The tongue of the Atlantic Ocean brings the sediment up and over around on these banks, heading all the way to the Exuma chain. And if it wraps around Nassau, by the time it gets here, the sediment gets grind up to powder. So you can get some sand, yes, but it's going to be a little bit more refined. And that's why you feel this looseness here. That's not only because of how it's placed, but there's no barrier to lock it in place.
That's how important the mangroves are, and that's why the campers pledged,
I will care for our mangroves. I will care for our coral reefs and seagrass. I will care for our fisheries and glass. I will protect our largest resource, the ocean, as a valuable treasure entrusted to us for the
For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Felicity Davo.
Thank you, Felicity. The Bahamas Tonight at 11 turns to sports next. This Friday night, Swanson Gibson Jr. is here with a look at what's ahead.
Coming up in sports, Team Bahamas dominates at the Davis Tennis Cup. More details coming up next. Welcome to your TGIF Sports Check, everyone. I'm Swanson Gibson Jr. In Trinidad and Tobago, the Bahamas men's tennis team has been making their presence felt in a major way at this year's Davis Cup. Positioned within Group 4, the Bahamas has found ease in their singles and doubles matches, defeating Cuba, Antigua and Barbuda, Suriname, and Panama in pool play. The 2-4-2 playing Panama on Thursday, coming out on top 3-0. Players Michael Major Jr. and Dante Ambrister discussed their team's performance.
I think the team did really well today. Dominant win 3-0, and just focus on Saturday, focus on actually getting the job that we came for done. Gonna go out there and scout the two teams that we will possibly play tomorrow, come up with game plan strategies, and go out there on Saturday and just keep implementing what we've been doing as a team and moving together.
Just grateful for the win, and Denali went out and he took care of business, winning his match 6-6 and then Kofi and Denali, they went out and won their doubles, and so we won 3-0 overall against Panama. And we're locked in, for Saturday for the promotional match. So tomorrow we're just going and have a day off, so we're just going to use that day. The rest probably just go on and call it, do a little light hitting, and scout out our potential opponents for a bit.
And on the baseball diamond, a few of our Bahamian sluggers seeing minor league action on Thursday. In AAA ball, Christian Robinson and his Reno Aces resumed their road series with his Como Rainiers. In the 4th inning, Robinson hit a solo home run, tying things up at 4-4. The Aces would not produce any runs after this point as they fall to the Rainiers 7-4. Also on the road was Ian Lewis and the Beloit Skycarp, dueling the Quad City River Bandits in a high-A affair. Lewis had a productive evening, getting an RBI base hit in the 6th inning. The 22-year-old would finish 2 for 5 on the night, bringing his batting average to an impressive .357 and contributing to an 8-1 win. Lastly, in AA action, Sebastian Walcott and the Frisco Rough Riders had a tightly contested affair with the Arkansas Travelers. As his club's designated hitter, Walcott got a base hit in 4 plate appearances, contributing to a 2-1 win against the Travelers. And on the seas, numerous skippers partaking in the Bahamas national sport at this year's Black Point Regatta. Our Charles Fisher fills us in.
A special feature of this year's regatta was the Ocean Race from Staniel Key to Black Point. Race which was won by Colin Cartwright and the boys of Sacrifice from Long Island. The boat getting some minor adjustments, and it's been smooth sailing from there.
We had a problem over the years, when we built the boat was deep on the bow. So after Mark started building all the VDK and Sassy Sue and the rest, a couple of them with the shallow bows, they maneuver around quicker on the tack. But the Sacrifice was deep, so she used to take long to come around sometime. She'd be up in the race and sometimes she'd lose because she missed stays. And the boys got disgusted. They started to get disgruntled. Say, man, you got to shallow your bow. So we finally did it. I had pride, was killing me for a couple of years, right? So I decided to do it in the new year. When I sailed in the Best is Best last year, December, like I said, we was up in the race, and as soon as we tacked the boat, that was it. She went straight in the wind and lost the race. So I made up my mind, and the boys said they would shallow the boat so we could get up in the top,
David Hawker of the Staniel Key Yacht Club sponsored the Ocean Race.
We've been involved for, I wish I knew the number of years, but it feels like 15 or 20 years, especially with the Ocean Race. We love the Ocean Race. It kicks off the regatta. It starts in Staniel Key, ends in Black Point. But, more than anything, it's part of the community. We love what the Community Association and Bim Bam and these guys have done over the years, bringing all the people together. It's just a great annual event, this August holiday. So like most community events, the Yacht Club is very happy to be involved.
Hawker, a fan of Bahamian sloop culture.
You see I'm wearing my Tidal Wave shirt, right? So, I like to fancy myself a sailor once in a while, but I'm more of a fan. But it's hard not to appreciate all the effort that goes into building these boats, maintaining these boats. and then to see them out on the water, there's nothing more beautiful.
Sails up and smooth sailing ahead. For ZNetToll Sports, I'm Charles Fisher.
Over at Bahamas, the latest installment of the Summer of Thunder basketball series has concluded, with a couple of young Bahamians showing their athletic skill set. 15-year-old Javez Colby suited up for Raw Talent Elite as they face Andrews native Frederick King and his Murray State University Racers. Colby hanging with the big boys in this one, putting up 13 points and 7 rebounds while shooting an efficient 50% from the field. King also getting in on the action, finishing 8 of 11 from the field to go with 6 boards as his Racers rout Raw Talent 120-59. Still on hoops, the 37th annual Jeff Rogers basketball camp wraps up at the Kendall Isaacs Gym, with dozens of campers perfecting their craft while soaking in valuable advice. Making an appearance was Bahamian and big man for the Showtime Los Angeles Lakers, Michael Thompson.
Talking to the kids is one thing, you can tell them about your experiences, everything, but it's so much more fun to answer their questions. And they have such good, intelligent questions about the game. These kids are very knowledgeable about basketball history. The questions they were asking me were very intelligent and very knowledgeable questions. And so I was very impressed that they knew about the history of the NBA. So it's fun to get up here and answer their questions about the game and tell them the advantages about playing basketball and how it can really benefit your life. I started coming here when my boys were babies themselves, and I bring them back here too, and they enjoy coming back and see how much the camp has grown and how beneficial it is to young people in the Bahamas. So coming back here is like coming home.
And that's been your TGIF Sports Check, everyone. I'm Swanson Gibson Jr. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Well, the big news all day has been about this rain that we got today here in the capital. Time to check in with Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean for a look at our weekend forecast. Good evening, Basil.
Well, good evening, Carvel. We have the tropics beginning to heat up once again as we have 2 areas where we can see some cyclogenesis taking place in the next several days. The first one, our computer models are suggesting that it will turn towards the north before it reaches us, so it seems as though we'll be okay with that first one. But this second one, which is just slightly south of the first tracking, well, this could be a problem for us later on down the road. By the time we head into about the 19th or 20th of August, that could come very dangerously close to the Bahamas, so we will monitor this area very closely over the next several days and keep you posted. And there's another area with a low chance of development that's just off the east coast of the United States. No problem there for us, as that will continue moving towards the northern east. And another area in the Gulf of Mexico with a low chance of development. And our temperatures around the islands this evening: Marshall, Babaco at 85, 81 degrees in Green Turtle Key, Freeport, Grand Bahama at 81, the Berry Islands 81 as well. Allenstown, Bimini, 80 degrees, 84 in Harper Island, Rock County, Lutheran, Otterstown, Cat Island at 82, Black Point, Exuma, Kemps Bay, St. Andros, 86 degrees, Fresh Creek, Central Andros at 83, San Salvador, Rum Key at 82, Georgetown, Exuma, 85 degrees, 87 in Ragged Island, Clarence, Long Island, and Crooked Island, Betsy Bay a little bit on the warm side at 90 degrees, 90 also in Acklands, Matthewtown, Niagara, 85, and the Turks and Caicos Islands at 88 degrees. Satellite pictures showing lots of heavy showers over the Abacos, Grand Bahama, the Berry Islands as well, and that's going to slowly move towards the west during the course of the night. But some of that will linger around through tomorrow. We would not see any clearing until we head into Sunday. And our forecast tonight, we're looking at overcast and warm with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm in spot. Low temperature around 79 degrees. And tomorrow, it's going to be cloudy again with a couple of showers and thunderstorms in the mix with your high temperature 87 degrees. Extended weather forecast, pretty wet again on Saturday, but the skies will open up on Sunday looking pretty nice. And as we head into the early part of next week, lots of sunshine, but there will still be some stray showers in the forecast, particularly during the afternoon hours of an isolated nature. Those temperatures will get back up into the low 90s, and they will be with us for the next 7-day cycle. Carvel.
Basil, thank you very much, and thank you for being with us. That is our broadcast this Friday, this week. I'm Corval Byfrom, and for all of us, take care, be well, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you very soon. Good night, everyone.